Many thanks, Joy, there from Orca with the latest. While we're still talking about the President's speech on today, June 12th, Democracy Day, on our special here at Channels Television, we still have our guest in Abuja, and that's Chief John Oyegun. But joining us in our Lagos studios is Mr. GT Ogunye. He's a legal practitioner and one of our regulars on Channels Television. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thanks for inviting me.
So just before we had Comrade Eva, we're talking about some of the highlights of the President's speech today. But then it did appear to be touching on the three cardinal points that he started with the last 4 years: improving insecurity, fighting anti-corruption, and of course, security, corruption, and
the economy.
The economy. Thank you very much. Did we get it right in the past 4 years? He's saying this other 4 years would be a little different. We can expect a lot more. But is there hope for you?
Well, without hope, one is dead. Nigeria will have to continue to have hope, because without exercising hope, we will all be delusional, and we're not going to get out of that kind of depression. Well, the President's speech told me is very aspirational. When the President came in 2015, he had a 4-year term. The deal was not that I will do first 4 years, and then I will aspire to do another 4 years before I could turn the country around. A tenure is a tenure, 4 years. And because we do not know for certain what will happen in the future, it's expected that any leader that is elected for a 4-year tenure setting, barring other possibility, like that, resignation, things like that, should endeavor to crowd his schedule and deliver on his electoral promises and all that. Unfortunately, as it is said in this clip, we didn't hit the ground running. The President didn't hit the ground running in 2015. It's been said that they came without knowing the extent of the rot. That could be an excuse or pretext, depending on how you look at it. But hey, and we can't be tired of saying that the President didn't form a cabinet in 6 months. 6 months in the life of a country like Nigeria in 2015, it's a long time. And most, unfortunately, and very disturbingly, we are also seeing the same kind of pattern in governance, even now. Yesterday, Gbajabiamila Amila was sworn in, and as he was accepting that challenge in that inaugural address, he announced that he had a chief of staff. So, May 29, June 12, no cabinet, no hint, not even the first appointments. That's not good enough.
We have Chief Oyegun in Abuja. Let's ask him if he's heard something about a cabinet by the President. Chief Oyegun.
Yes, I'm with you.
Yes, is there something you've heard that we know? Will the cabinet be formed today? Have you heard anything? I mean, my guest here, Mr. Ogunye, is saying that last time it took a long time, 6 months.
Yeah, that was last time. But the President has told you himself that
he's keeping the list close to his chest.
Different. He has told you himself that what we lacked was the will to get some of these things done. So yes, I think he has worked on his cabinet, and I think it will be going to the National Assembly in the next few days. So that is not an issue. He has, in fact, the speech was so inspirational that we cannot but expect that this time around things will be different, and that this nation will start experiencing real progress, real development, after he spent the first 4 years stabilizing the economy. And that wasn't all. The first 4 years have witnessed rapid development in the railway system, rehabilitation, reconstruction, a brand new railway system, in the road system, in the electricity supply situation of the country. I can tell you with all confidence that given what I know has already happened and what has left the drawing board, we are going to experience good things in the next 4 years.
Let's go to our correspondent in Lagos. We hear Olu Phillips is at Ojota at the moment to tell us about the celebrations in Lagos. And there, Olu Phillips.
7 years ago, I recall this same environment was filled to every space and capacity because some people and most people out here in Lagos turned out en masse to protest the January 1st, 2012 announcement of the fuel price increase. Today we are having another march, but incidentally, it doesn't have the trappings of that number, but their message is very loud and clear. They call themselves a Pan-African Yoruba group. They've come together from different representations and have said to themselves, we want to fight against insecurity. We want to fight against all of the intimidations that they witness in the southwest region. They're protesting heavily against kidnapping. They're protesting against deaths and all of those threats that have been witnessed and said about on the news channels. And I'd just like, if I have a few more seconds to call on the convener of this today's event. Quickly, sir, what is this demand you're asking for in quick seconds? What do you want the government to do?
Security, provide security for the people. It's their right. We cannot ignore it. And the rate at which it's going, the body language of government, the body language of particularly Mr. President is signifying that things can go on as it is. I was saying no. We're human beings. People are being killed. People are being maimed. Kidnapping every day. It's not safe.
Thank you. I think that is loud and clear enough. I mean, on a day like this, when you think that democracy has been achieved, we are hearing another set of demand, and it seems to me like the Oliver Twist thing. Democracy is here today. It's been signed into law. We have democracy, but again, the people have other demands. Another thing to note again from this rally today is that we didn't see those popular names, we didn't see those popular faces, all of those who may have led this campaign in the past as to why we should have today celebrated as the day Nigeria got its liberation from the military junta. It's 20 years into democracy, it's about 26 years into the fight led by MKO Abiola. Today, it's just a different occasion, it's a different demand, and we're hoping that this can drive home. They've all dispersed here because they came in just few numbers, but they hope that their little message and the strong message against insecurity will be heard by authorities and those in charge. From the Ojota Square, which has now been rechristened the Gani Army Center in Ojota, this is Olu Phillips reporting for Channels Television.
Many thanks, Olu Phillips, for that. And we'll also be asking our guests what they think about the renaming of the Abuja National Stadium to the MKO Abiola Stadium. And we'll come back with that with our guests in the studio when we return after this break.
Buhari did, in spite of our suspicion and surprise, really was patriotism. Because what June 12 did for Nigerians was to convince Nigerians to set aside all superficial differences among them and elect someone who would unite the country. That was the purpose of June 12. Nigerians were fed up with all those superficial divisions in Nigeria. And they wanted unity in Nigeria, unity, progress, and unity, democracy, and progress. And so they saw the opportunity in the election of Abiola. It has also honored our struggle, who helped to bring about June 12, who campaigned against the annulment. But definitely, it brought about a fundamental question is Buhari capable of going further? Going further means investigating the causes of the annulment and who led the annulment and their purpose, and punishing them for that, because that in politics amounts to treason, so that that cannot happen again.
The people of Nigeria, through their democratic decision of June 12, 1993, expect me to assume the reins of government. I fully intend to keep that date with history.
A landmark in Nigeria's history. An election Nigerians cannot forget in a hurry. June 12, our new Democracy Day in Nigeria. A milestone in the annals of our political journey. On the 20th year of our return to civilian rule. Channels Television got you covered on our extensive coverage of the June 12 inaugural Democracy Day celebration. Follow the trends. Hashtag Democracy Day.
Still our continuing coverage of Democracy Day special here on Channels Television, your home for the news. And we've been talking to two guests in the studio, and one, of course, in Abuja studios, GT Ogunye, a legal practitioner, and also Chief John Oyegun, former ABC National Chairman, who is in Abuja studios. Mr. GT Ogunye, the renaming of the National Stadium to MKO Abiola Stadium, does that strike a, what do you make of it? I know the last time it was the University of Lagos, but I think that didn't see the light of day.
Yeah, that renaming today is fitting and appropriate. Don't forget, Abiola, apart from being a moneyed man, a traditionalist in the sense that he had a whole lot of traditional titles everywhere, he was also a philanthropist. He was a sports enthusiast and was named the pillar of sports in Africa. He had a football club, Abiola Babes, and he did a lot of things in those days. So naming the Abuja National Stadium after him in recognition of all that he did, particularly in the last 4 or 5 years of his life when he died in custody, military custody, most unfortunately, is good. Now, the last time an attempt was made to name a monument after him, a school, University of Lagos, there are valid objections, even from that community. And the point was made that it wasn't because Abiola was not loved. Abiola was loved, and is still loved now, even in death. But that decision was vitiated by one critical element. President Goodluck Jonathan, without being well advised, in my view, just went on air and named that university. That university was created by law, an act of the National Assembly. So the name was a corporate name, a statutory name that could not be changed by a mere broadcast. You don't change a law by a speech. And so it was futile for him to do that. And so even without the university resisting it, some people said that, yes, it was a statement of intention. You still take a bill to the National Assembly to have an amendment of the law, establish University of Lagos, a 1962 law, and that would then change the name and all. But it was wrong-headed, and I think that it was appropriate that people objected conscientiously to that change of name.
Let's talk about security. The president in his speech said there's a strong correlation between economic inequality and insecurity. He talked about the gains that they made when they came on board in 2015. Boko Haram had about 18 strongholds, but now they don't have that. Are you optimistic of the next 4 years, even though we've had cases of insecurity, banditry in several parts of the region, kidnapping in recent times?
I wish I could be optimistic. And that was why I made the point I made earlier. John Oyegun in Abuja was saying that the speech was inspirational. Earlier, I stated that the speech was aspirational. You just aspire to do things. Yes, Indonesia was there, India was there, China did it, so we're going to do it. And all that. This, when you want to move intent into a physical achievement, there are things you need to do. And in the past 4 years, I can just give you an example. Education. Our universities are run down. And yet the president didn't ruin Nigeria. But I'm afraid in the past 4 years, he's not done those things I expected in a transformational sense that he ought to have done. Education. Education. Do you know how many people are writing UME now that can't get into university? And hey, don't tell me that students now are not knowledgeable and all that. There are no spaces for them. Nigerians are going to all sorts of places in the world to get education. Togo, Ghana, the Philippines, all over the world hunting for education. Because there are people that cannot gain access to education. That was not like that in our time. Okay, you know what parent goes through now to get, and then what is the state of the university? And all that. So how are you going to achieve scientific, technological, sociological attainment that you are espousing without doing those things? So I want to be optimistic. And if you take those three things, economy is now better, I don't think so. Those who are humoring government and assuring that the economy is better can say that. The facts on the ground, and I'm not saying it to blame this president, I'm just saying that this is the situation on the ground. Okay? If you use all the industries, exchange rate, lending rate, everything is not better, right? If you're talking about security, yeah, Boko Haram has been fought, but they're still killing our soldiers. But apart from that, security situation has festered all over the country. Kidnapping has become more rife.
We must quickly ask
and pervasive all over the country now.
Are you still inspired by the president's speech in the area of insecurity?
Very, very inspired. Very, very inspired. I'm afraid my friend in Lagos seems to have lost hope. And there's nothing as bad as that. Mr. President told us clearly about the will to get this done. He was talking to the Nigerian people. He was telling them, let's get up. Telling the people, let's all get up to get things done. If that is not inspiring, I don't know what else is. So he should develop some positive mind. He should have some hope, because, quite frankly, I mean, if you don't have hope, then everything is lost, totally lost. He has provided the basis in his speech today for us to say, Mr. President, we are all behind you. Let us get on with this job. And time will tell. I'm assuring you that I am not telling you all problems will be solved, but I'm assuring you that as the course of the second term goes on, you will have cause to smile.
You're not also making promises, but because we're wrapping up in a few minutes, Chief Oyegun, I must also ask this question, and it has to do with the political party, the All Progressives Congress. Are godfathers the real owners of the APC? I'm asking that because some have said there's a great danger on the horizon. What's your forecast with regards to the leadership, the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, and also the post-Buhari era as 2023 approaches?
Well, like all parties, like all institutions, the APC is going through a phase. And that phase has thrown up a lot of issues. But we are moving ahead. The party will grow. The party will be strengthened. If mistakes have been made, they will be corrected. And I want to assure you that it will continue to be a strong political fighting force. A few things have happened, yes, there's no denying that. But this was all in the process of new leadership finding its feet. We are moving beyond that now. And I want to give you that assurance. The right lessons haven't been learned, that this party will live to its billing as the party of change.
We'd like to especially thank you, Chief John Oyegun, former APC National Chairman and also former Governor of Edo State, and in Lagos, guest, Mr. G.T. Ogunye, legal practitioner. Thank you for joining us. That's how we wrap up. Well, this segment, that is, we're still doing a continuing coverage of Democracy Day special here on Channels Television, your home for the news. And on the half hour comes a documentary on the June 12 struggle. It's on all the platforms, DSTV 254 and Sky B in Channels 24, 518. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.